FOMO includes both the perception of missing out, which triggers anxiety, and compulsive behaviors like checking and refreshing sites to maintain social connections. It is closely related to the fear of social exclusion or ostracism, which existed long before social media. Seneca, a Roman philosopher who lived in the 1st century AD, was a practitioner of Stoicism, a philosophical school of thought that emphasizes the importance of living a virtuous life and maintaining emotional stability. According to Seneca, we should strive to grow an attitude of indifference towards external events and circumstances that we cannot control and instead focus on creating virtues such as wisdom, justice, and self-control. In lame terms, this could mean reframing our perspective and reminding ourselves that the activities or events others participate in are not necessarily more important or valuable than what we are doing. If you want to feel rich, count the things you have that money can't buy. The first paper on the fear of missing out, FOMO, was written back in the year 2000 by a Jewish marketing strategist named Dan Herman, but the concept took many years to develop.
And I read your book, FOMO, amazing by the way, and you talk about how this wanting to be included, this inclusion is sort of hardwired into our beings. How not being included in something hurts as much as physical pain. So how can this biological factor and social media be fueling all this FOMO?
You're absolutely right. So if you think about the biology of FOMO, it's pretty fascinating. Go back to the earliest humans. So we had Homo habilis, Homo erectus. These were the very primitive forms of human life in East Africa. And, you know, these people, they were very aware of what they needed to survive. And they noticed what they had and didn't have, what somebody else had. And they were very focused on that. And they also ran in groups, right? They didn't want to be excluded from the group, because if they were excluded from the group, then something bad could happen to them. And that's exactly what FOMO is. FOMO is about noticing what other people have and feeling like we want that. And it's about being afraid of being left out of the group. And so, you know, that's just part of who we are as humans. You fast forward to the times of like Buddha. The reason meditation was sort of invented, I guess, in that time, and is because people had all these feelings that are basically the old-fashioned version of FOMO, and they were living in a proto-agrarian society. I mean, this is like, you know, early on, right? But they had these feelings even when lives were much simpler. And then you fast forward to like 100 years ago, there's, you know, the expression keeping up with the Joneses. That actually came from a comic strip, all about people who were trying to keep up with their neighbors because they had FOMO. And the crazy thing about that is that, you know, my name is Patrick McGinnis. The name of the family that felt all the FOMO was actually the McGinnis family. So it's just like I'm related to a bunch of fictional characters who have FOMO. But what has taken, you know, keeping up with the Joneses to the point where we now need a new word to describe it is social media.
As we continue to evolve in social media and how it is used daily, you end up getting a very vague, closed lens look at another person's life. From local communities to the wider culture, we tend to find wanting more and more reassurance, knowing what is everyone else doing and what status are they in life.
Anyway, I guess a lot of FOMO comes from social media, and people post pictures of what they're doing. It makes other people jealous or anxious that they're missing out. I don't think you should worry about missing out on things. I think we should all experience field, which is forget everyone else, let's dance.
Right now. Most technology, I would say no. In fact, you and I were talking about social media before this, about just not having Instagram on your phone and not dealing, and you feel better.
Yes, I think that one of the issues with social media that's been pointed out by many people is that I think maybe particularly Instagram, people look like they have a much better life than they really do.
Right.
So
by design.
Yeah, people are posting pictures of when they're really happy. They're modifying those pictures to be better looking. Even if they're not modifying the pictures, they're at least selecting the pictures for the best lighting, the best angle. So people basically seem they're way better looking than they basically really are.
Right.
And they're way happier seeming than they really are. So if you look at everyone on Instagram, you might think, man, there are all these happy, beautiful people, and I'm not that good looking, and I'm not happy, so I must suck, and that's gonna make people sad. So when in fact, those people you think are super happy, actually not that happy. Some of them are really depressed. They're very sad. Some of the happiest seeming people, actually some of the saddest people in reality. And nobody looks good all the time. It doesn't matter who you are.
No. It's not even something you should want. Why do you want to look great all the time?
Yeah, exactly. So I think things like that can make people quite sad.
Well,
just by comparison, because you just sort of people generally think of themselves relative to others. We are constantly rebaselining our expectations. And you can see this, say, if you watch some show like Naked and Afraid, or if you just go and try living in the woods by yourself for a while, and you'll learn that civilization is quite great. It has a lot of it. People want to come back to civilization pretty fast on Naked and Afraid.
Wasn't that a Thoreau quote? The comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah. Well, happiness is reality minus expectations.
That's great too. But the comparison is a thief of joy really holds true to people. Is it?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Roosevelt. Fascinating. When you're thinking about Instagram, because what essentially Instagram is with a lot of people is you're giving them the opportunity to be their own PR agent, and they always go towards the glamorous, And when anybody does show, hashtag no filter, if they really do that, like, oh, you're so brave, look at you, no makeup.
Yeah.
They look good anyway. You look great. What are you doing? Oh my God, you don't have makeup on. You still look hot as fuck. You know what you're doing. I know what you're doing too. They're letting you know, and then they're feeding off that comment section. Ooh, just a little sitting there like it's a fresh stream of love. Like you're getting right up to the source as it comes out of the earth, and you're sucking that sweet
lot of emojis.
love water.
Emojis.
Yeah.
A lot of emojis.
My concern is not so much what Instagram is that I didn't think that people had the need for this or the expectation for some sort of technology that allows them to constantly get love and adulation from strangers and comments and this ability to project this sort of distorted version of who you really are. But I worry about where it goes. Like, what's the next one? Like, where is it? Is it going to be augmented? Is some sort of a weird augmented or virtual sort of Instagram type situation where you're not going to want to live in this real world? You're going to want to interface with this sort of world that you've created through your social media page. It's some next level thing.
Go live in the simulation.
You're going to realize it one day. That happiness was never about your job or your degree or being in a relationship. Happiness was never about following in the footsteps of all of those who came before you. It was never about being like the others. One day you're going to see it. That happiness was always about the discovery, the hope, the listening to your heart, and following it wherever it chose to go. Happiness was always about being kinder to yourself. It was always about embracing the person you were becoming. One day you will understand that happiness was always about learning how to live with yourself, that your happiness was never in the hands of others. One day you will realize that true happiness comes from within, and no external factors can define it. It was always about you. It was always about you.